Now it's time for America's Talking, with headlines from across the country that you can find in the description below or in your inbox with the Center Square newsletter, free at thecentersquare.com. The accused White House Correspondents Association dinner shooter pleaded not guilty today in federal court to all charges, including an attempt to assassinate President Donald Trump. The Center Square Apprentice reporter Andrew Rice reports that Cole Thomas Allen's been charged with an attempt to assassinate a sitting U.S. president, transmission of firearms across state lines, assaulting a federal officer with a deadly weapon during the April 25th Correspondents' Dinner in Washington, D.C., and prosecutors arguing that Allen charged through a security checkpoint at the Washington Hilton Hotel, then fired a weapon and struck a Secret Service agent who is wearing a bulletproof vest. Janine Pirro, U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, said Allen could face additional charges. She added that her office is gathering more evidence to potentially file more charges against Allen. The California Family Council led a protest Saturday outside Yorba Linda High School ahead of the CIF Southern Section Division III track and field preliminary meet, urging the California Interscholastic Federation to prohibit transgender athletes from competing in girls' sports. The Center Square Education reporter Esther Wickham reports the demonstration in the Southern California city of Yorba Linda focused on a transgender athlete who entered the girls' long jump, high jump, and triple jump events. CFC said the athlete entered the meet with the top qualifying mark in all three events, intensifying criticism from opponents who argue CIF's gender identity policy disadvantages female competitors and conflicts with federal Title IX protections for girls and women in athletics. The controversy centers on CIF bylaws, which state students may participate in school athletics consistent with their gender identity. Opponents of the policy argue it conflicts with Title IX protections for those female athletes. A temporary restraining order granted Friday, blocking Milwaukee from starting its food truck curfew over the weekend. The Center Square staff reporter John Stife reports that motion granted to put the curfew on hold until at least June 10th, when the next court proceeding will occur. The ruling came after the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty filed a lawsuit on behalf of an individual who owns Fatty Patty food trucks, seeking to block the 10 p.m. food truck curfew over the weekend that also included an 11 p.m. curfew in other parts. Now, the lawsuit argued that the new law interfered with their ability to make a living and that it arbitrarily treats food trucks on Water Street different than bars and restaurants in that same area. And rural health care providers in Michigan warning that federal Medicaid reforms could intensify financial pressures on already struggling hospitals. Others, however, argue the changes were necessary to curb spending and reduce fraud. The Center Square's Elise Apel reports hospital leaders and healthcare advocates argue changes included in the H.R. 1 resolution passed by Congress, the federal budget package signed last year by President Donald Trump, could threaten essential services in rural communities, including maternity care, mental health treatment, and emergency services. A hospital executive said Hillsdale Hospital projects losing roughly $6 million annually under the Medicaid change. Healthcare advocates warned the consequences could extend beyond hospitals themselves. Naomi Lopez, an adjunct scholar with the Mackinac Center for Public Policy, said the legislation slows Medicaid spending growth rather than reducing overall funding. And that's just some of what America is talking about. Get these and other headlines at thecentersquare.com.